We're here today on Country Pocket with Wild Ponies. It's Doug and Telisha Williams. Their new album is called Dreamers. Guys, how are you doing today?
We're doing well, thank
We're doing
you.
good. We're doing good. Still having coffee, but yeah, doing great.
The song you just heard is called Love You Right Now. Let's start off with sort of the big overarching theme of this album. Tell me about becoming parents.
Well, it has been quite a journey, and way to sock it to him at the top with
Yeah.
with that one. That's an intense song that we wrote after becoming foster parents. We trained to be foster parents in 2020, and with our partner Laura, and we became sort of two foster parent homes in one. And I started noticing when we had our first couple of placements what a zen experience it is to foster, because you you just don't have a lot of information about the history on these kids, and you also have no idea what their future holds. You have no idea how long they're going to be with you. But I was in the kitchen unloading the dishwasher and feeding one of our little guys, and just realizing I had to be all in every moment that we did have them in our care. And then we luckily got to adopt our son River, and that's been just a little over a year. So it's been quite a journey.
Yeah, it's it's not an easy song to start. You're very right. So when you when you wrote that song, you were thinking about the fact that at any moment you might have to say goodbye to this kid you were caring for, and you would have no real warning.
Yeah, that's true. You have no warning. You usually do have warning, but there are instances where you don't. You have no warning, and there are instances that we had where we thought we were going to have one of our little guys for an extra for a week or so longer than we had him. And that would have made it through the Thanksgiving holiday. He's going to have Thanksgiving with us, but we found out that they were coming to get him that day, so we had like a couple of hours instead of a week to spend with him. And he wound up in a wonderful place. Like we're so thrilled with where he wound up. He wound up with some family that are just fantastic folks and doing a great job taking care of him. But it's yeah, it's hard because you're all in with your love for these kids, and you just to a certain degree you don't have a lot of control.
And at that particular one, our parents had just arrived
Yeah.
for the Thanksgiving holiday. They had come to town to spend Thanksgiving with us. And at the same moment that they're arriving and we're celebrating their arrival here in Nashville, we're grieving the loss of this little guy. And like Doug's saying, excited about where he is now. And we're still connected
And
to
we
the
were
family.
excited in the moment. Like it's a complicated grief because
Yeah.
you're so thrilled that this is working out for this kid the way it's working out, but also you can't help but grieve a little bit someone who was in your home that you're not gonna that's not gonna be a part of your life in the same way anymore.
Yeah. Um, that must be uh a hard moment to relive every time you play the song. I mean, that's you know, it does show the magic that songs have in terms of communicating emotions and helping you process them. But it I I feel for you having that in your repertoire.
Well, I mean, that song is it's a mashup of several of the experiences that we've had as foster parents, and partially River, our son, who's permanently with us now, is in there as well. And yeah, the grief is less than the joy for sure. But
Yeah, it's interesting the moments that pop out as we continue to play that song, because that song That song gets played pretty much every time we play a live show.
Yeah, and you cry pretty much,
I cry pretty
and I
much every.
cried like 80% of the
There's some
times.
sort of tearing up, but it's usually just remembering a beautiful moment, like the blueberry line and the stacking blocks. I can be heading to can be on stage playing a live show, remembering just like an hour and a half ago stacking blocks with my two kiddos. And yeah, so you just have these little pictures, the movie that runs through your head of all the little parts of the song. Different lines get me different
Yeah.
times, just depending on how the day's gone.
So you put together the song about family and about becoming, sorry, you put together this album about family and about becoming parents, but there's a lot of joy there, but there's also this focus on the fragility that's there in childhood. Um, is that something that comes to the front of your mind now that you are 100% responsible for these kids?
Yeah, and even before so, I mean, there's the fragility. There is a fragility in the moment. There's a fragility in the future. Like Talisha said, it's a very Zen experience, I think, being a parent, particularly a foster parent, but any kind of parent. I mean,
Yeah.
the moment right now, this is what you have. This is what you know you have. And like the song "Heartbeat" was about our experience of bringing our other child into our lives, Iris, and we had
We'll get to
she was.
Heartbeat.
Oh, well, you want me to hold
Oh,
off on that?
okay. We'll save it. We'll save it. But
Yeah.
yeah, nothing has been more of a. I mean, it may be an overused term now, but nothing has been more mindful than
Yeah.
than becoming a parent and all that comes with mindfulness. Like mindfulness is beautiful and also anxious and
Also, I think at this point there's another record we could write. I mean, we're not helicopter parents. I mean, they're still young, so we'll see. Maybe we'll change. But we have two very independent kids, and we go to a playground. If there's a huge field, and our backyard is big and fenced in, and like they will take off. Like they want to go. Like they're very independent, very explorative. They are picking up everything and turning it over. And so, like, we're trying to foster that while also keeping them from
keep everything
from
safe.
eating some kind of poisonous berry or something. So the record, I mean, there's probably a whole different record that we could write since we've been parents for a little bit longer than we were when we wrote those songs. I don't know.
There are also parts of me. I have a history of trauma with my family, and I didn't. I felt like I had done a good amount of healing. I still feel like I had done a good amount of healing prior to entering parenthood. And there are parts of me that never would have had the opportunity to heal without
Mm.
becoming a parent because I just didn't know that those little pieces were still like swimming around in there, and they've come up, and it's just been such a beautiful and hard and extraordinary awareness of all of those pockets of emotion that are still country pocket. Isn't this called something pocket? That's
Here
perfect.
you
I love it when we can
go.
do that. Ah, segues.
The next one I want to talk about is Bury the Young. Sort of,
Okay.
uh, it's a very understandable message, but I'm just more curious why that comes to the forefront of your mind. Why you're worried about things like war and shootings and stuff. Now that you have a kid, it almost seems as though the world and its threats have become somewhat amplified.
We actually wrote that one before we had kids. So it's a tough one. I mean, we live in Tennessee, we live in Nashville, and we live in a state where when we had a school shooting, a big school shooting in our city, our governor and supermajority state legislature decided that the best response was not to, try and get guns out of schools, but to instead pass laws to allow teachers to open carry in the classroom and require firearms training for the students. So it's just weird to like look at the rest of the world and see what works everywhere in the world and see, folks in America doing things that are just completely moving them in seems so clearly the wrong direction. And it's just baffling to me. And we wrote that one. We took some words from one of my favorite poets, Nikki Giovanni, from a poem that she had written after Tupac Shakur died, and it was from the perspective of his mother not having to bury her son. And so some of those words and some words from we wrote it not long after the shooting, the Parkland, Florida shootings, and when X Gonzalez spoke up and was so just brave and so powerful, and the things they said were things that the adults in the room were too chicken to say. And just the power of watching a child. At that time, they were a child, and they were standing up and saying things that just really needed to be said, and that no adults were brave enough to say. And it was just so inspiring to see.
And also reaching all the way back to the Bible.
And also reaching
So
all the
I
way
mean,
back to the Bible.
it's
Yeah.
been going on since the beginning. Parents having to bury their children, and there's just no there's nothing right about that.
Yeah. I don't know if that answers your question or not, but it's a pretty long ramble.
No, I mean, it does seem as though Tennessee sees, and Tennessee is certainly not alone,
No.
the United States, but sees more danger in a book or a drag queen than in a semi-automatic gun that could kill 20 people in a minute.
We wake up every morning and have the decision of whether we're going to stay in Tennessee with our family for that reason. Nashville, we love Nashville. Tennessee is a bit scary. Yeah.
All right, let's hear Bury the Young, and we'll be right back.